Hey everybody, it's your old pal Tom here on the Tom Gulley Show. Tonight, let me tell you about Robert Duvall, an American original whose career spanned decade after decade after decade, who created indelible characters in the history of American cinema, and who sadly passed away just 2 days ago at the age of 95. We will cover his entire career and all the spectacular highlights of it. This, of course, is our cold open that we do, giving people time to file into our interactive YouTube chat room and, get the notification, grab a beverage, come on in, settle back as we tell you about this incredible man's career. If you're listening on demand or on one of the countless audio podcast platforms that we're on, and you're not crazy about music, well, then just fast forward to the beginning of the show and we can get you past all that and you won't click somewhere else, because that would be tragic. Very, very tragic. I think no matter what film Robert Duvall was in, whether he was the lead or a secondary character, somehow he managed to steal the show. The characters he created, the way that he imposed them on the screen was something that I think probably has most people picking their favorite performance or their favorite character. And if we took a poll, they would probably span the entire library of his career. I've watched him since, the very early days. And it's frankly incredible. And I think once we go through everything, people will start saying, oh, I forgot about that one. Or, yeah, I can't believe it, because he was at the very top of his game from the early 70s, even before that, well into the 2010s and beyond. Very excited today to tell you all about a man that I just can't describe in any other terms than an American original. So without further ado, here's a couple songs to allow people to get into our chat room, because I know people are going to want to weigh in on this man's career. Let me tell you about Robert Duvall.
Sometime in the night, somewhere past the evening light, there's a man talking just out of sight, making sense so the wrong and the right. Somewhere past the talking head, some time to ignore what they said. There's a chair, a desk, a glowing sign, and Tom Gulley's right on time. No scripts, no nets, no safety rails, just sharp ideas and strange little tales. You listen and you lean back slow and just let it go. We're in with Tom Gulley tonight, where the questions land just right. Laugh a little, think a little more than you did before. Happy we'll be when we hear the signals loud and clear. You won't be touching that dial once you're here. Sometime when you know he's there, somewhere in the evening air, there's a light, a clock, the studio glow, and Tom Gulley's running the show. Callers roll in, the clock spins around, truth and nonsense both get found. Every night's a brand new ride, with Tom as the guide. No scripts, no nets, no safety rails, just sharp ideas and strange little tales. You listen in, you lean back slow and just let it go. They said the night was crowded, too many voices in the room. Some burn bright for a moment, some fade out far too soon. I've watched the doors swing open, I felt them close just as fast. You learn to mind your footing on a floor made out of glass. I've been counted out, I've been counted wrong. I've heard the doubts get loud and strong. When the lights go out and I play that song, I'm still on. I've had nights full of promise, I've had days that wouldn't end. Some chase the sound of thunder, some wait for trends to bend. I've seen the door swing wide open, I've seen them slam just as fast. You learn to move with some caution on a surface built to crash. Talk about the past, let them say it doesn't last. I don't need the wind forever, I just need to run one more mile, one more honest soul. I've been counted up, I've been counted wrong. I've heard the doubts get loud and strong.
Hey everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What's shaking? Let me tell you about Robert Duvall, an American original, an actor that almost defies superlatives, from The Godfather to Apocalypse Now to countless westerns, and turning in an virtuoso performance in every single role he ever played. We will cover his story from beginning to end, complete with your comments all the way through. But before we get started, do me a favor, please like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, all those absolutely free things that you can do that help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-knowing algorithm. And, of course, we do have super chats, we do have memberships, and we do have the gifted memberships. And then we have the PayPal, where you give the most, I get the most. Google doesn't get anything. Do they deserve it? What did they do? If you go to the TomGulleyShow.com, there's plenty of stuff there to keep you busy. And that would include our merchandise store. So belly on up. Enjoy yourselves, and Don't forget our audio podcasts on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and there's 25, 30 others. Enjoy them. We love our audio podcast people. As well as our chat room people. Chef is in the house with Cooper and Neil. Johnny Books is here. He says you should give the music a chance because it does rock, and it does. It really does. Guido Samurai says Robert Duvall's best movie, in his unsolicited opinion, was Falling Down, and we'll get into that. And by the way, it's not an unsolicited opinion. I solicited it. So there you go. Robert Seldon Duvall was an American actor, filmmaker, and producer with a career spanning not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, but 7 decades. He received an Academy Award, a BAFTA Award, 4 Golden Globe Awards, 2 Primetime Emmy Awards, a Satellite Award, and a Screen Actors Guild Award. And of course, he was one of the last surviving stars from the golden age of Hollywood. Incidentally, he received other awards, and I will tell them to you as we progress. He was born January 5th, 1931, in San Diego, California, to Mildred Duvall, an amateur actress, and get this, you might not know this, Rear Admiral William Howard Duvall of the United States Navy. He was the second of 3 sons and raised in the Christian Science religion, although he later said he didn't attend church. He spent much of his childhood in Annapolis, Maryland, where his father was stationed in the United States Naval Academy. He attended Severin School in Severna Park, Maryland, and the Principia in St. Louis before graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in drama from the Principia College in Elsa, Illinois in 1953. Now, his father had expected him to attend the Naval Academy, but Duvall said, I was terrible at everything but acting. I could barely get through school. Instead, he served in the United States Army after the Korean War, leaving as a private first class. He said that led to some confusion in the press. Some stories have me shooting it out with the commies from a foxhole over in Frozen Chosen, Pork Chop Hill stuff. Hell, I barely qualified with the M1 rifle in basic training. But while stationed at Camp Gordon in Georgia, he appeared in an amateur production of the comedy Room Service in nearby Augusta. And so it was that in the winter of 1955, Robert Duvall attended the Neighborhood Playhouse School of the Theater in New York City, studying under Stanford Meisner on the GI Bill. His classmates included none other than Gene Hackman and Dustin Hoffman. He remained close friends with both of them because of their years together as struggling actors. In 1955, Duvall, in fact, roomed with Dustin Hoffman at a New York City apartment while they studied together at the Playhouse. And around the same time, he also shared accommodation with Gene Hackman while working odd jobs, such as clerking at Macy's, sorting mail, and driving a truck. He began his professional acting career with the Gateway Playhouse, an equity summer theater based in Bellport, Long Island, New York. His stage debut was in its 1952 season when he played the pilot in Laughter in the Stars, an adaptation of The Little Prince. After a year away while serving in the U.S. Army, he returned to the Gateway for its 1955 summer season, appearing as Eddie Davis in Time Out for Ginger, then in Picnic, then in The Cat and the Canary, then in The Crucible by Arthur Miller. During the 56th season, his third with the company, he played Max Halliday in Dial M for Murder. He was in Bus Stop. Playbills that year described him as an audience favorite in the last season, as having appeared in the neighborhood playhouse in New York and studied acting with Sandy Meisner this past winter. In 1957, he appeared in Agatha Christie's Witness for the Prosecution and other roles. While appearing at the Gateway in the second half of the 50s, Duvall was also appearing at the Augusta Civic Theater in Virginia and on the Arena Stage in Washington, D.C., described as a graduate of the neighborhood playhouse, indicating he had completed his studies there. By this time, his theatrical credits also included performances as Jimmy in The Rainmaker and as Harvey Weems in The Midnight Caller. So he had extensive stage training. I don't think that most people realize this about Robert Duvall. He toiled for quite a while on the stage. Already receiving top billing at the Gateway in the 1959 season, he appeared in the lead roles as Stanley Kowalski in A Streetcar Named Desire. He made his off-Broadway debut in 1958 in a play called Mrs. Warren's Profession, and that play closed 3 days after opening. Which couldn't have been great for the confidence. His most notable off-Broadway performance, for which he won an Obie Award in 1965, was Eddie Carbone, again, in an Arthur Miller play called A View from the Bridge in the Sheridan Square Playhouse. On February 2nd, 1966, now keep in mind, he's been at this for 12 years, he made his Broadway debut in Wait Until Dark, a play about a blind woman who has 3 robbers come into her dwelling. High drama. High drama. In 1959, he made his first television appearance on Armstrong Circle Theater, and he appeared regularly on television as a guest actor during the 1960s, often in action, suspense, detective, or crime dramas. His appearances during this time include Alfred Hitchcock Presents, The Naked City, The Untouchables, Route 66, The Twilight Zone, Combat, Outer Limits, The Fugitive, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, Time Tunnel, The Wild Wild West, The FBI, by the way, the FBI dossier, available on Amazon from our good friend Ed Robertson, and an extensive quote, almost a whole page in the introduction from yours truly. Sorry, just a commercial. He was also in the Mod Squad. But his film debut, a tiny role, but a pivotal role, and he carried it off amazingly, was in To Kill a Mockingbird. He was cast in the film on the recommendation of screenwriter Horton Foote, who had met Robert Duvall at the neighborhood playhouse during a 1957 production of Foote's play, The Midnight Caller. Foote, who would collaborate with Robert Duvall many more times over the course of their careers, said he believed Duvall had a particular love of common people and the ability to infuse fascinating revelations into his roles. He described Robert Duvall as our number one actor, and his portrayal of Boo Radley in this film, I don't know how many minutes he was even on the screen. Probably less than 3 minutes. But he was unforgettable. And if you've read the book or seen the movie, you know that that particular role is pivotal to the entire film. After To Kill a Mockingbird, he appeared in a number of films during the 1960s, mostly in mid-sized parts, but also in a few larger supporting roles. Some of the more notable appearances include Captain Newman, M.D., and Gordon in The Rain People. He also played Chiz in a movie called Countdown. But Gordon in The Rain People. The Rain People is kind of a cult film, and he plays a very pivotal role in that as well. It's an amazing film. See it if you get a chance. He had a small part as a cab driver who leads Steve McQueen around in Bullet just before the big chase scene. And it's kind of amazing. I own that film and watched it recently. I had completely forgotten Robert Duvall was in it. And he's fabulous. He was also the notorious Lucky Ned Pepper in True Grit, engaging in a climactic shootout with Rooster Cogburn, played by John Wayne, and telling Kim Darby, well, it's enough that you know I'll do what I have to do. He became an important presence in American films beginning in the 1970s. He drew a considerable amount of attention in 1970 for his portrayal of Major Frank Burns in the film MASH. There would be no Major Frank Burns in the TV series if it wasn't for Robert Duvall knocking it out of the park in the motion picture. And for his portrayal of the title role in a largely underappreciated movie, but a pivotal one, career-wise, THX 1138. And that movie was an early film. I believe the first film written and directed by George Lucas. So it's important for that reason as well. But then became his giant break, portraying Tom Hagen in both The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2. And The Godfather Part 2, as Tom Hagen, earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. I might also point out that in the novel, The Godfather by Mario Puzo, the role of Tom Hagen is much larger than it is in the movie. Also in 1974, Duvall played a corporate director, and he was uncredited in Francis Ford Coppola's thriller, The Conversation. In 1976, he played supporting roles in The Eagle Has Landed, which is a fabulous film about the Germans attempting to kidnap Winston Churchill. And he was also spectacular as Dr. Watson in the Sherlock Holmes film, The 7% Solution, with Nicole Williamson, Alan Arkin, Vanessa Redgrave, and Sir Laurence Olivier. Probably talk about this film on Friday when my special guest will be Leon Kennedy, who's an expert on Sherlock Holmes. Judy Tester says Robert Duvall was based for refusing to work with DreamWorks Spielberg again after 2002, a real man of principle. By the mid-1970s, Robert Duvall was a top character actor. People magazine described him as Hollywood's number one, number two lead. He received another Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor, and he won both a BAFTA award, the British Academy Awards, and a Golden Globe Award for his role as Lieutenant Colonel Kilgore in Apocalypse Now. His line, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning," from Apocalypse Now is regarded as iconic in cinema history. You smell that? Do you smell that? Napalm, son. Nothing else in the world smells like that. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. You know, one time we had a hill bombed for 12 hours. When it was all over, I walked up. We didn't find one of them. Not one stinking body. But the smell, you know, the gasoline smell, the whole hill smelled like victory. Someday this war is going to end. Duvall received a BAFTA Award nomination for his portrayal of television executive Frank Hackett in the critically acclaimed film Network, and garnered an Oscar nomination for Best Actor in a leading role in The Great Santini. And if you've never seen this film, he's spectacular in it. I read the novel before I saw the movie, and it was like I was watching the novel. He portrayed hard-boiled Marine Lieutenant Colonel Bull Meacham. Here he is with a photographer for a local newspaper, I believe. He also co-starred with Laurence Olivier and Tommy Lee Jones in The Betsy. And he portrayed United States President Dwight D. Eisenhower in the television miniseries Ike in 1979. Francis Ford Coppola praised Duvall as one of the top 4 or 5 best actors in the world. And wanting top billing in films, in 1977, Duvall returned to Broadway to appear as Walter Cole in David Mamet's American Buffalo, stating, "I hope this will get me better film roles." And he received a Drama Desk Award nomination for Outstanding Actor in a Play. He continued appearing in films during the 80s, of course, including roles of a detective in True Confessions with Al Pacino there. One was a cop, one was a priest. It was pretty amazing. He played disillusioned sports writer Max Mercy in The Natural. And he played L.A. police officer Bob Hodges in the very dark, tense drama Colors with Sean Penn. But then, his Academy Award. Now, I would say there's 4 or 5 other roles he played that he could have and should have won an Academy Award for. But he did, in fact, win for playing down-and-out country western singer Max Sledge in Tender Mercies. And he did his own singing in this film, insisting it be added to his contract that he sings the songs himself. He said, "What's the point if you're not going to do your own singing? They're just going to dub somebody else? I mean, there's no point to that." He was an actor through and through. Actress Tess Harper, who co-starred, said Duvall inhabited the character so fully that she only got to know Max Sledge and never met Duvall himself. Director Bruce Beresford said the transformation was so believable to him that he could feel his skin crawling up the back of his neck the first day of filming with Duvall. Beresford said, Duvall has the ability to completely inhabit the person he's acting. He totally and utterly becomes that person to a degree which is uncanny. Duvall and Beresford did not get along well during the production and often clashed during filming, including one day in which Beresford walked off the set in frustration. But then came another role, this one on television. And here in Texas, as well as everywhere else, this role is incandescent. It may be my favorite role, played by Robert Duvall, and that is, of course, Captain Augustus Gus McCrae, Texas Rangers, retired, in Lonesome Dove, the miniseries. Duvall considered this particular role to be his personal favorite. He won a Golden Globe Award and earned an Emmy Award for the nomination. For his role as a former Texas Ranger peace officer, Duvall was trained in the use of Walker revolvers by Texas marksman Joe Bowman. And there they are together. I can't say enough things about this movie. I really can't. The number of quotes is just through the roof. But Gus McCrae, here is Robert Duvall with his co-star, Diane Lane. The number of quotes is crazy. His interaction with Tommy Lee Jones is two spectacular actors at the top of their game. And who can forget the quote? Now, along with the whiskey, I believe we'll require a little respect. If you turn your head back there to the wall, you can see us when we was younger, and people wanted to make us senators. Now, what we didn't tolerate back then was dawdling service. And as you can tell, we don't tolerate it now either. I'll tell you. For The Godfather Part 3, Duvall declined to repeat his role as Tom Hagen unless he received a salary comparable to Al Pacino's, and the studio said no. In 2004, he told 60 Minutes, if they paid Pacino twice what they paid me, that's fine, but not 3 or 4 times, which is what they did. In 1992, he founded the production company Butcher's Run Films, and he maintained a busy film schedule throughout the 1990s, sometimes appearing in as many as 4 films in a single year. He received Academy Award nominations for his portrayals of evangelical preacher Euless Sonny Dewey in The Apostle, which he also wrote and directed. Amazing film, absolutely amazing, and he's amazing in it. He appeared as attorney Jerome Thatcher in A Civil Action. He directed Assassination Tango, a thriller inspired by his long-standing interest in tango, and he portrayed Robert E. Lee in Gods and Generals. Other roles during this period demonstrated his incredible range, absolutely incredible, including a crew chief in Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise. And, of course, as Guido Samurai said a little earlier, he played the counterpart to Michael Douglas in Falling Down, a cop retiring on his last day. Just to point out that amazing range, he played a Hispanic barber in Wrestling Ernest Hemingway and did it really, really well. You're used to him in some of those southern types of roles. He was dead on. Played a New York tabloid editor in The Paper, a rural doctor in Phenomenon, a horse farm owner in Something to Talk About, and an abusive father in Sling Blade. How many people remember that he was in Sling Blade? Well, he was, and he was amazing. Think about all the classic movies he was in. I mean, yeah, sure, The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, some of the greatest films of all time. To Kill a Mockingbird, which was the best motion picture winner at the Academy Awards. But Sling Blade, Lonesome Dove. Come on. And he played an astronaut in Deep Impact. He continued to work steadily into the 2000s, appearing as a mechanic in Gone in 60 Seconds, and a soccer coach in A Shot at Glory. Now, I watched this movie just last night because in doing the research for this, I was unaware of this film. It's about a soccer team in Scotland. I'm going to say the movie has a lot of very accurate soccer stuff in it. It really does. But it's not that great of a movie. It's okay. Just okay. But Robert Duvall, 10 minutes into the movie, you think he was born and raised in Scotland. He nails it. How many movies have you seen whenever even the best actor doesn't get the accent quite right? Not Robert Duvall. Not Robert Duvall. I'd give it a 7. He played a police officer again in John Q with Denzel Washington. And then another of my favorite roles he's ever played. And that is Boss Spearman in Open Range with Kevin Costner. This is a favorite movie of my brother and my father and I. We quote all the lines all the time. And he's just absolutely spectacular in it. How about another movie where Robert Duvall is just off the charts? Secondhand Lions with Michael Caine and Haley Joel Osment. And the great quotes just never stop with this guy. They're in the bar. The teenage bullies are making a scene. He tells them to quiet down. Michael Caine tells him he's just a kid, don't kill him. He said, okay, yeah, I won't kill him. Who do you think you are, old man? He just grabs the guy by the neck. I'm Hub McCann. I've fought in 2 wars, world wars over 3 continents, commanded men in battle from horses and swords to artillery and tanks. I've seen the headwaters of the Nile, laid eyes on native peoples no white man had ever seen before, and loved just one woman so passionately, with a passion a flea like you couldn't understand. Now go on home. That's who I am. Then in another soccer movie, Kicking and Screaming, with Will Ferrell, a comedy. Will Ferrell, in an interview, said that he and Robert Duvall got along very well. But one day on the set, it's Will Ferrell, he's just goofing around. And he kind of makes the guns at Robert Duvall and says, I'm gunning for you. Robert Duvall said, what? What'd you say to me? I'm gunning for you. And he started walking backwards, real sort of untrusting like. He said, you're gunning for me, huh? You're gunning for me. It wasn't until later that Will Ferrell figured out he'd try to give the business to Robert Duvall, and Robert Duvall gave it to him back even better. He played a high-stakes poker champion in Lucky You, and again, almost steals that movie. Plays a New York City police chief in We Own the Night. And this is in 2007, so he's deep into the 2000s, after starting in 1970. 1960, actually, if you consider To Kill a Mockingbird. So we're talking 47 years into the thing. Plays the patriarch of a dysfunctional family in Four Christmases. And then another incredible movie. And if you haven't seen this movie, you need to see it tonight. You need to see all these tonight. A movie called Get Low with Sissy Spacek, Bill Murray. About a man who wants to stage his funeral while he's still alive. In 7 Days in Utopia, he plays an eccentric golf champion mentoring a troubled young pro. And he plays a retired Marine Corps gunnery sergeant who owns a shooting range in Jack Reacher. He continued to work in television and in films. He won a Golden Globe Award and got an Emmy nomination for his portrayal of Soviet Premier Joseph Stalin in the 1992 television film Stalin. He earned another Emmy nomination in 1997 for portraying Adolf Eichmann in The Man Who Captured Eichmann. And another, I own this one too. I looked it up, and I own like 15 movies that Robert Duvall is in. At this one, he won an Emmy for his performance as Print Ritter in the AMC miniseries Broken Trail. And if you've never seen Broken Trail, you gotta see it. You just absolutely have to see it. And I'll tell you a little bit about something that makes his portrayal even better a little later on. In 2005, Robert Duvall was awarded a National Medal of Arts award by President George Bush at the White House. In 2014, and I have this one, and I'd show it to you, except it looks just like this, the cover. He starred in The Judge alongside Robert Downey Jr., and while the movie got mixed reviews, his performance was widely praised. He was nominated for a Golden Globe, Screen Actors Guild, and an Academy Award for his supporting role in this movie. As a matter of fact, at age 84, he became the oldest actor ever nominated for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. In 2018, he appeared in the heist thriller Windows as a corrupt power broker, earning critical acclaim. In 2022, just 4 years ago, he appeared in the Netflix films Hustle, and he played the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers in that one, and then also in The Pale Blue Eye. Robert Duvall was married 4 times and didn't have any children. I guess I'm shooting blanks. Oh, I forgot about A Night in Old Mexico. Yeah, he was awesome in that as well at an advanced age. Anyway, he'd been married 4 times, didn't have any children. He said, I guess I'm shooting blanks in 2007. He added, I've tried with a lot of different women in and out of marriage. He met his first wife, Barbara Benjamin. This is not Barbara Benjamin. He met her. She was an announcer and a dancer on the Jackie Gleason show during the filming of To Kill a Mockingbird, 1962. And she'd been in Guys and Dolls and The Courtship of Eddie's Father. She had 2 daughters from a previous marriage, and they were married from 1964 to 1975. His second marriage was to Gail Youngs. They were married for 4 years. His third marriage was to Sharon Brophy, a dancer. They were also married 4 years. In 2005, he married his fourth wife, Luciana Pedraza, granddaughter of Argentine aviation pioneer Susana Ferrari Billinghurst. He met her in Argentina, recalling, "The flower shop was closed, so I went to the bakery. If the flower shop had been open, I never would have met her." Both of them were born on January 5th, although Duvall was 41 years older. They'd been together since 1997. He produced, directed, and acted with her in that movie I told you about earlier, Assassination Tango. In an interview with David Letterman, he talked about his love of the tango, particularly in Argentina, which is probably why that film was filmed in Buenos Aires. Duvall was known as a skilled Argentine tango dancer and maintained tango studios in both Argentina and the United States. Here he is with Luciana Pedraza, and she tells the story of how, when this picture was taken during the filming of Broken Trail, he had fallen off a horse or something and had a broken rib or two and numerous other injuries, but wouldn't allow the production to be stopped for that. Robert Duvall also trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and practiced martial arts with his wife. Robert Duvall, very sadly, passed away just 2 days ago at the age of 95 at his farm in Middleburg, Virginia. The death was announced through a public statement by his wife. In the statement, she did not list a cause of death, but said that he had died at home. Robert Duvall, an actor that gave us so much and created so many iconic screen characters. Nominated for his role in The Godfather, nominated for his role in Apocalypse Now, nominated for his role in The Great Santini, nominated for his role in The Apostle, nominated for his role in A Civil Action, and nominated for his role in The Judge. These are all Academy Award nominations. And, of course, that win for Best Actor in Tender Mercies. That, ladies and gentlemen, is really all I have to tell you about the American legend that was and is Robert Duvall. And with that, I will put the link into the chat room. And if somebody wants to weigh in and tell me what they think of Robert Duvall, I would be happy to hear from them. By the way, please like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. All of these are absolutely free things that you can do that help our little show out, and we'd appreciate it. Believe me, we're very, very appreciative about that sort of thing. Highly appreciated. Incidentally, I'm leaving out so much. I mean, I'm leaving out just so many things. Let me just go through some of them. He was in, let me name some films that I didn't mention. He was in Nightmare in the Sun. He was in The Chase which is a legendary film with Marlon Brando, Jane Fonda, Robert Redford. Kind of a flop, but it had every big star in Hollywood. He was in it. He was in The Detective with Frank Sinatra. Oh, yeah. He was in The Revolutionary. He was in a movie with Burt Reynolds. Oh, God, I just saw this like 2 months ago, called Lawman, a great Western. And he's in a great role in it. He was in the Great Northfield, Minnesota Raid, which is about the Jesse James Cole Younger gang. He was in a movie called Tomorrow with Olga Bellin. He was in Joe Kidd, the Clint Eastwood movie. He was in The Outfit, badged 373. He was in the original movie, The Killer Elite. The original with James Caan and Burt Young. Paulie from Rocky movies. He was in The Greatest, which is a movie about the life of Muhammad Ali. He was in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. He was in The Pursuit of D.B. Cooper. Yes. He was in Let's Get Harry. Oh, my God. That's a movie about some guys that go over to Vietnam to get a friend of theirs. And he plays the mercenary that trains them all on how they should get over that little problem. And it's got Glenn Fry in it, Rick Rossovich, Mark Harmon, Gary Busey. It's a really good sort of Saturday drive-in movie kind of movie. A Show of Force, The Handmaid's Tale, Rambling Rose, Convicts. He was in The Plague. He was in Geronimo, An American Legend. He was in The Stars Fell on Henrietta. He was in The Scarlet Letter. Yes, The Scarlet Letter with Demi Moore and Gary Oldman. He was in Phenomenon with John Travolta. He was in The Gingerbread Man, which is a legal type of a thriller. I mean, it never stops. He was in a movie called Thank You for Smoking, sort of a black comedy. He was in The Road, which is a post-apocalyptic movie. Fabulous in it. He was in a movie called Jane Mansfield's Car. I mentioned A Night in Old Mexico. He was in Wild Horses, which is a sort of a crime drama. 12 Mighty Orphans. It's a sports movie about football. It was great in that. But television, he was in The Defenders, Shannon, Kane's 100. He was in The Defenders more than once. He was in The Virginian. He was in Stony Burke. He was in Arrest and Trial, which was like a precursor to Law and Order. Kraft Suspense Theater. The Fugitive more than once. The FBI more than once. Bob Hope Presents the Chrysler Theater. Hawk with Burt Reynolds. Felony Squad. Shane with David Carradine. He was in a TV series with Robert Loggia called THE Cat. And THE stood for Theodore Helmsworth Ellison. It was the guy's initials. And Robert Loggia played a cat burglar that did things for good. It was like he was a good guy cat burglar. And he was on that more than once, by the way. He was in Cimarron Strip, CBS Playhouse, Run for Your Life. Great show. We ought to do a show on that show. He was in Judd for the Defense. He was in The Terry Fox Story. He was on Saturday Night Live. Oh, yes. He was the narrator of the American Experience PBS episode about the Carter family. He did it all. Absolutely did it all. He was in some video games. They made video games out of the movie The Godfather. And he voiced the role of Tom Hagen on those video games. So there you are. I didn't cover all of his nominations. Oh, no. I covered the Academy Awards and the BAFTAs and the Emmys and the Golden Globes. He won a Screen Actors Guild Award for a civil action, but he was also nominated for The Man Who Captured Eichmann, Sling Blade, The Apostle, Broken Trail, Get Low, and The Judge. The American Movie Awards gave him Best Supporting Actor for Apocalypse Now. He was nominated for Blockbuster Entertainment Awards. Remember those? Cable Ace Awards, 2 of those. I don't think those are still around either. The Chicago Film Critics Association gave him Best Actor for The Apostle and nominated him for a civil action. 2 Critics' Choice Award nominations. The Dallas-Fort Worth Film Critics Association. Let's hear it for Dallas-Fort Worth. Nominated him for Best Actor for Get Low. The Florida Film Critics Circle nominated him twice. Monte Carlo Television Festival nominated him for Broken Trail. The Hollywood Film Awards awarded him Best Supporting Actor for The Judge. The Independent Spirit Awards, which are a big deal, awarded him Best Director and Best Male Lead for The Apostle, nominated him for Best Screenplay. The Kansas City Film Critics Circle gave him Best Actor for The Great Santini and Tender Mercies. The Las Vegas Film Critics Society, Best Actor for The Apostle. The Los Angeles Film Critics Association, that's a big one. Best Actor for The Apostle and for Tender Mercies. I mean, I could keep going. Montreal World Film Festival, National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum, Lifetime Achievement Award. National Society of Film Critics, 5 nominations, 1 win. New York Film Critics Circle, 5 nominations, 2 wins. Phoenix Film Critics Society, Satellite Awards, Society of Texas Film Critics, St. Louis Gateway Film Critics Association, Toronto Film Critics Association, Utah Film Critics Association, Venice Film Festival. They just don't stop. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. And that's all I got to tell you about Robert Duvall. I don't see anything going on in the chat room. Nobody wants to hit that link. So I think we'll just tell you that I replaced tonight's show. It'll be on Monday of next week. But tomorrow we will cover the career, another long and storied one, of Steve McQueen. Thursday, it's Amelia Earhart. Friday, we'll have a special guest. That guest will be Leon Kennedy, our musical director, who is also an expert on Sherlock Holmes, and that will be our topic. Saturday, we will cover, and I see the chef is here, says another great show. We will cover an Indianapolis story of the Speedway bomber. Yes, a guy was just bombing stuff in Indianapolis around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for a period of time. And then on Sunday, we covered Hullabaloo. That means we also have to cover Shindig, which is a similar show, but with many differences. And we'll cover that. And then on Monday, the Farmington mine disaster. So that's what's going on the show. I recommend that tonight and throughout the week, and certainly on the weekend, that you go through the filmography of Robert Duvall, pick a few out, and just sort of bask in the glow of the absolute greatness of Robert Duvall. I would suggest Tender Mercies, The Apostle, Lonesome Dove, Broken Trail, Open Range, Secondhand Lions. That's 5. 6. Well, if you need any more after that, call me or email me. We'll take care of you. So with all that being said, that old clock on the wall says it's time for me to Amscray. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So with all that being said, I think that the only thing left to say is thank you all for being here. You guys are the best. I appreciate the support. We did not meet our nightly goal of any amount of money, but that's okay. That's okay. So till next time, we'll see you next time.
They said the night was crowded, too many voices in the room. Some burn bright for a moment, some fade out far too soon. I've watched the doors swing open, I felt them close just as fast. You learn to mind your footing on a floor made out of glass. I've been counted out, I've been counted wrong. I've heard the doubts get loud and strong. When the lights go out and I play that song, I'm still on. I've had nights full of promise, I've had days that wouldn't end. Some chase the sound of thunder, some wait for trends to bend. I've seen the door swing wide open, I've seen them slam just as fast. You learn to move with some caution on a surface built to crash. Talk about the past, let them say it doesn't last. I don't need the wind forever, I just need to run one more mile, one more honest soul. I've been counted up, I've been counted wrong. I've heard the doubts get loud and strong. Going anywhere.